If you want to be my friend. Now you go. You better go and get a pen. All right.
Get a pen.
And maybe we can keep in touch.
Keep in touch.
Like we did in the old days. It wasn't so long ago. I think he's got it. Wish you one more time. Oh, sign your pen, pal. Strong finish.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is what we're all about here at
Strong
the Pen
finish.
Pals.
Look, I
Strong
was in a
finish.
Catholic choir. I know how to wing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in the face. Like,
Yeah.
I think he does know the words. His eyebrows are saying, I am aware of what the words are.
Folks.
Folksies.
You didn't look, or you can't see, or you don't know, but we have a new pen pal for you today. He's a host, he's a comedian, he's an actor, he's a writer. Please welcome Ify Nwadiwe.
Hey.
How are you, buddy?
Good. And yourself?
We just did a fun show together.
Yeah.
That was
we were playing
wild.
video- Yeah, I know. There were so many comics.
It was a
on
live
stage.
show, so we can say it.
Yeah.
It was like it was comedians playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
You and Peter Murphy hosted.
Yeah.
Wait, what is this?
It was called Bit Slam, and it's this show that is trying to combine like video games and comedians.
Okay.
And I think you're right. I think we just need to get
It was
Kevin from beginning to just make the games for the whole show because
Dude.
yeah, because
There was a game. There was a game. Kevin
Hold
makes
on.
these
You
games.
got to give all of us the
Comedians
full
come out,
premise of
they
what
play
we're envisioning.
a competitive, sometimes off the beaten path, like
So now,
left of center
is
video
this
game.
comedians as in the entire slate of performers on the show, or is it like
Yes.
the first two people?
Yeah,
okay.
yes,
okay.
no,
Comedians.
it's
Everyone's
all
out there.
comedians.
Everyone's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no.
no, there's
They come out
segments.
in.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
so
Yeah,
and
come on,
it's broken
segments.
up, and so the first thing we did was Kevin's Barely Made Games, where Kevin, this dope comedian,
He is so funny.
yeah, it's so funny, and he's like makes all these like indie games that are just ridiculous, and then
Oh,
has the
sweet.
sponsors in between them.
Yes.
and then we do
Yeah, he
like,
had jokes in between that were made up
Yeah,
by made up companies.
I love that.
and then it was like indie games that were kind of weird, like Power Washer Simulator and
Yes.
things like that were
Yes.
fun. But I think
They
every
won-
comic who came after was like, no, I want to play one of those
Dude,
weird
There
games.
was a game. There was a game called like Find Parking. Okay, and the setup is you are with your girlfriend Stacy.
I can't imagine Kevin isn't doing this full time.
Stacy is wearing high heels.
Yes.
You have to find a parking spot as close as you can to the party. The distance with which you find a parking spot in proximity to the party will determine how pissed off Stacy is at you.
Are you on a timer?
No. So,
Okay.
you're just a car, and it's just a rudimentary shape of a car.
Yeah.
And it's just going up
Are
a
they
street.
all like in beta form, kind of as games?
But they're
go?
kind of supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. Got
And
it.
it's cars going, and there's no parking spot, and then a parking spot will open up. Now, you can hit the space bar and park there, but you don't know. There could have been a closer spot.
Yes.
And so, like, a couple of comics were playing this, and they're passing up spots, and the audience is losing their mind. Be like,
Yeah.
take it!
Yes.
It's like Price is Right.
Price is
R.I.P.
Right.
Buzz
Price is
Barker.
Right. Yeah.
And they would, and if one time, one of the comics, everybody screamed, they didn't pass it up. They get to the end, to the party, no parking. They didn't find a parking
and so
spot.
that's it.
Stacy,
Yeah, then
So
and
if
it
you
says-
pass it, that's it.
and it says distance to party 0 feet. Stacy, you didn't find, or you never found parking. Stacy will never speak to you again. And then the other one was like, you only had to walk a block. Stacy's super happy. And so the audience was so in. If you put this game in a bar,
Yeah.
people would play it.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
The reality series.
Yeah, because like with your view is your car,
Yeah, it's a
like,
bird's
parking
eye
spot,
view of watching
and then
the
you
car.
see your distance to the party, so you know you're getting closer.
Yeah.
So you have the element of I'm running out of time, so it's almost like a gamble. It's like, do I just
Do you
go?
stop now? You
Yeah.
stop now, or maybe there's another spot
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
And if you park and
yeah.
there's a spot closer, it'll show you every
Spot
closer
you
spot.
missed.
Oh,
that you
yeah.
could have taken.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wild. It was
Yeah.
so
I
much
love
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we played some Quiplash. It
Yeah.
was like it was really fun chaos in a good way.
Yeah.
Like I was so blown away
I
by how
love
much
that.
the audience was
Oh
into
yeah,
it.
they were locked
Well,
in.
for our LA listeners, where and when is this?
If there
does
might
this
be another
happen?
one, right?
Yeah, there
Was it
might
the
be another
Bourbon
one at the Bourbon Room.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Follow in the social meds, and I'll let you know.
That's great. I love that. That's a
Hell
great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
idea for a show.
It was just a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we take a break and then start a good time?
Folks, we'll be right back.
Let's go to the letters!
first? Mine or yours?
Let's do yours.
Mine?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, he's got it.
Okay.
How'd you get this, Rory? How'd you get this?
I got this handed to me when I was out on the last comedy tour out there in America.
Ooh.
I can't tell you which show this was handed to me because
Nice
if you
gold
are a
envelope.
listener of this podcast and you decide to come see me on tour, you know that after shows I don't come out most of the time.
But I do come out.
I just kind of hide. It's social anxiety. It's very overwhelming.
Well, if you don't get straight
after
to
a
the
show.
cocaine, you're.
And I got to get to that Coke pile that I got backstage. Check this out. Is this not so fun?
Yeah, wow.
What does that
fun
mean
this
in the
is.
top right corner?
I don't know.
What's it say?
Red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Is
Oh,
that,
yeah,
it's
we
gotta
know.
be from the.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a lyric.
right, yeah.
from
Will you-
the thing.
Yeah.
Will you hold it up?
Yeah.
So everyone can see how
It's
cool.
a lyric from the point of the letter.
We'll get to this.
But no one ever does this. Looks like a newspaper
Yeah.
clipping.
Not stationary.
Fuck all you hoes and questions about public farting. I love that combination. Pals, don't make me choose. I'm a people pleaser and I can't deal with the disapproval from either of you.
Fair enough.
I am hopefully handing this to Rory at the show tonight with my husband. Nope, you handed it to Grant Manship, my tour manager at
great
the
dude.
merch table.
It's a great, dude.
The husband that I married 7 years ago, #WhenIsWhat, and with whom this event takes place. When we got married, I was so full of nerves and emotion, I had DIY'd almost everything and helped set up our family cottage for the weekend and for the wedding the entire day before. Parentheses, do not recommend. Come wedding day, I was exhausted, emotional, and hella nervous. Walking down the aisle was surreal and literally too much to process. By the time I made it to the front, I was on the verge of either tears or a panic attack. In a miraculous turn of events, my brain decided to right-size the situation by reciting lyrics to Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. in my head, not out loud. This went on during the entire ceremony, beginning with "Fuck all you hoes,"
Fuck all you hoes. Get a grip, motherfucker. That's the opening.
which immediately worked and allowed me to smile and recite the vows. This has since become my go-to nerve-calming tactic. All I can say is "fuck all you hoes" works every time. So my question to you is, are there any moments so big that you just have to disassociate? Where do you go? What do you do? P.S. I would also like to know if you have any strategies for dealing with an accidental public fart. P.P.S. My nickname is also sometimes Juicy because it was which is Jucy, because it was a hotel booking typo that lived on. Good evening, Juicy. Yorp Allerish Penny, J.
Bing dong ding ling ling.
Bing bong bing.
First of all, great song.
Great
Fuck
song.
all you hoes, get a grip, motherfucker.
Yeah.
This album is dedicated to all the people who told me I never amount to nothing.
Yeah.
All the people who lived above the buildings that I was trying to hustle under while I was trying to make some money to feed my daughter.
Yeah.
Look at us experiencing your wedding day.
I know, yeah.
You don't think Juicy's going to be played at my wedding reception?
Yeah.
That's when I'm walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Just
Oh,
the
yeah.
instrumental to Juicy.
Oh, yeah.
You both know that song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I like Juicy because that line reminds me of that tweet. That early Twitter tweet when it was like, all these rappers talk shit about their teachers when all they did was ask you to read a little louder. Your teacher didn't believe it. And I was like, yeah, that's true. You know, like I've had friends drop mixtapes and I was like, Mr. Johnson did not say that. You're relying on
You
Mr.
know him.
Johnson.
You know he didn't say that.
You know.
I do
You
not
just
know.
needed something that rhymed with Bronson.
Yeah. I do not know Juicy, but I feel like if I heard it, is it like up there in terms of like the
Yeah, yeah,
popularity?
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it's above Hypnotize.
Okay.
Ooh.
I know, but
No,
Juicy
I
is-
think, yeah, Juicy is probably top.
I bet you some people would say it's his number one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Interesting.
If I had to go just, if you ask me on popularity for sure, I'd say number one is Juicy.
When you, I don't
Interesting.
care what club, event, whatever, you play Juicy, people are like, "Yep,
Yeah.
It gets it going.
yes,
Yeah.
yes."
Yeah.
Then I feel like I would definitely.
Yeah,
know
you
it.
definitely would know.
Yeah.
What is it? We used to fuss when the
What's the course? I'm trying to remember. It's escaping me now.
we used to fuss when the landlord dissed us. No heat. Wonder why Christmas missed us.
Yes.
Birthdays were the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we're thirsty.
Thursday.
Oh right, no, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that got it. That gave you.
Oh wait, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? Actually, hearing you
Shipping
guys,
Sam
Dude, why
Penguin
can't I
hearing
get
you
to the
two
chorus
mumblecore
either?
through
Yeah.
it
I
really
can't
helps.
get to the chorus
Yeah.
either. Hold on, I can't get to the chorus
Yeah.
either. Birthdays were the worst. It's up in the source.
There's someone in a puffy starter jacket
Screaming at
screaming
us.
like, "What are you doing?
Why is it escaping me?
Dead ass!"
I don't know, but I'm just picturing you up at the altar and it's falling apart
Nintendo
because
Sega
you can't remember it.
Nintendo Sega Genesis.
When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
Does that help if you try to go to the voice?
Yeah, I did try to.
I might,
transform into Piggy.
dude.
I looked at it like, wow.
This might get very funny. Jump, cut it out. But if I do not hear it right now, I'm gonna go insane.
Yeah, no, go
No,
for
this
it.
all stays in.
Yeah.
Even legally.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye.
And then I know all the words.
Yeah, you
Oh,
start.
wait, I know this.
Yeah.
The opposite of a winner. Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? This might only live. I don't know where this will live. Going up like you thought I would. Call my number, same hood. It's all good. And if you don't know, this is it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know this.
very
Well, who you are. Yes, thank you.
That
That would have
understand.
ruined me if I didn't
Reach
reach
for
for
the
the stars.
And then
You had to go, but not
You
too
gotta
many. Cause
You
you're
get
the only
the
one.
one.
I'll give you good and plenty. Nintendo.
You gotta know.
Personal
when
with
the
Robin
person
Leach.
said
Yeah.
to them,
Oh, okay.
All right,
That
we're
felt
good.
so good.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that might only have been a clip.
But that did make me
Yeah.
like kind of hyper focus on that sardine lines. New
Yeah.
York black people, let me know. But I know just on my southern West Coast blackness, I've never had sardines for dinner.
No.
I am always saying sentences that start with New York black people.
Yeah,
let
New York,
me know.
Let me know. Let me know. Rory specifically,
Guys,
and
New
Ify.
York black people, let me know.
Let me know. Is
It's
sardines?
so funny, like pretending I knew the chorus. It was the closest I got to what you must have experienced when the show started. You're like, pen pal.
Yeah. I was like, I'm ready. I was just like, let me just go. I'm gonna just hop in.
Maybe I will start out the theme going forward with "fuck all you hoes."
Fuck
Yeah,
all you
yeah,
hoes.
fuck all
And then
you
it just kicks in.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I like is whoever the producer was on that song, they were like, it's like, Biggie, look, hear me out. What if your vocals the whole time sound like you're at an empty roller skating rink?
Yeah.
And Biggie's
You know-
like, all right, let's do it.
And Puff Daddy has a spoken word verse in this.
Yeah.
We could do this every weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right, it's Puffy. Yeah.
And he has a whole spoken word part.
Well, yeah, it really makes you realize just takes you back because the big thing that came out of that era was the Suge Knight Source
Remember the
Awards.
speech? Oh, my
dancing
God.
in your videos.
I know.
Yeah.
And then you hear that, you're like, yeah, that is kind of annoying. It's like,
This
why?
move.
Yeah.
That was all Diddy's
Yeah.
move.
This paper is, feel that. Isn't that
Thick.
Like,
Got a good
Well,
stock.
if
to
I
it.
was gonna give you a letter, I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
put
go
it.
big.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Little
good
stock
paper.
into it.
That's good.
You're gonna
yeah.
be like, give me the 3-ply.
Yeah.
Is that what this would be?
That song's
Just
so
ply
good.
only apply to toilet paper.
So this letter's about ways in which we coping mechanisms,
I
like
guess-
going to happy
Yeah, yeah.
places or things you focus on.
Well, I would say not that
And then
this
farts,
is
and then
directly
farts.
related, but this counts when you're about to do stand up.
Yeah, that's
I
what
thought
I
of
took
the
it as.
same
Me
thing.
too.
Is
Yeah.
there a space that you go and I mean there's obviously a difference from hey, you're going out in a second, you're doing 10, and you're like, yeah, great. But
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you're about to go out and you're going to do 10, and just so you know, this show matters a little bit more
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Yeah, what is there a
So for me, it's always because I'm always, if I'm ever in a new city I haven't done stand up in, I'm always a little nervous
Sure.
because
Yeah,
like the best example of this is when I was in Austin recently. I've been in Austin before, but I had a moment where it was like right after lockdown, and I do like, I'm doing well, and then I do a segment on my lockdown jokes, and it's just like silent.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go back to my regular jokes and laugh, and someone taps and goes, "Oh, we didn't lock down out here, so we didn't.
Chaos.
So they don't know what you're talking about." And I was like, "See, that's why I get scared when I'm in. If I tap into like a thing where it was like, we don't do that here, or you're saying something that makes no sense to us."
Yeah.
So when I'm about to do a new city and I am nervous, I'm like, just get to that first joke. Just get to that first joke, because
Yeah.
when I feel like once I get that first laugh, my confidence is there, and I'm just just ready to go.
Yeah.
And then if I don't get that first laugh, I'm like, well, I know what this is going to be. Like even if
Yeah.
like either way, it's good because when I feel like you really start to make strides as a comic when you don't need the laughs anymore. And I feel like I started off with get the first jokes where get that first laugh because I'm like, once I get the laugh, I have the confidence. And now I'm like, get the first laugh so I know what I'm dealing with. And if they're not laughing, it's like I can win you over. I'm gonna figure it out. But if they are laughing, I'm like, okay, then autopilot.
Do you have anything in the pre-moment? Because when I saw an early screening of your doc, you did a thing that I was like, no wonder we're fucking born a day apart and such good friends. You did a thing that I do. Like, I'll sometimes before I go on stage, I will say, this is a good time. You're a good time. Let's have a good time. Ooh. And you said a thing. Did it end up making the final cut?
Yeah.
Where you say, fun,
just be fun.
Yeah, be fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I do the same. Like, I almost try to imbue my mindset to what we're going to do before I go out there. We're just going to fucking have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, if I can carry that coming on, I always feel like it makes it for fun. Like I bring that.
I think there is that element of like, with the UCB of like, don't think, like that improv thing, like don't think. And it is true. Like you've lifted the weights.
Yeah.
And you can't just suddenly go, all right, remember how to lift weights. It's like, that's the practices have happened. You're now at the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, just be in the game. But the weird thing is, our games are also the practices.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so
You cannot practice
there's a
without doing
blur.
the game.
Yeah.
There's a blur there, which is why to our listeners, I say when you're doing 10 at a show, we're like, I'm just doing 10 or 10 at a show that matters. Like we have to do both shows, but sometimes, and to probably to more detail of the nervousness of being like, oh, I'm in Austin.
Yeah.
Like we comics, no matter how confident we are in ourselves, we do still want other comedians to perceive us in this like this crazy list of where everybody stands in terms of ability.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose spots despite the fact it's all arbitrary and makes no sense anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But you want to kill so that people are like, no, he's up there.
Yeah.
You bomb, you're like, he doesn't have it anymore. Even though you were like, how do you not suddenly have it anymore?
But we're thinking that way. It's like when what's his name? Zach or whatever, when he was doing that joking like 100 comics to look out for list.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it always two things would happen. One, like it'd be the general like people like, oh, this is funny, and then there would be those
it's too
couple
long of a list and it's absurd.
The whole list is
it's
a
like,
joke.
The whole list is a joke, but there are people who do get tight if they're not on the list.
Yeah,
they're like, you out of, because and there is the element where you're like, out of 100 comics you could pick.
Yeah,
I get that. I didn't even come to your mind.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. But to me, it's like, okay, like it's a bit. I'm not thinking too hard on it, but I've seen so many people like go online and like make a thing, and he'd had to be like, hey, it's just a dumb joke.
It's not real.
I don't. This isn't how I judge you. Or if it's someone he's friends with, he's like, you got to get more buzz. Like, and it's so funny to be like, oh, he's clocking that this person is goofing, and he's clocked that this person is actually hurt.
Is really hurt by it. Yeah. It is like, it is strange. But I will say, there's different mindsets. Like the be fun or that kind of mentality is I feel like it's always something to try to keep in the front of your mind. But also there's the world of like get to that first joke, which to me is like we're operating two right and left brain things like simultaneously, where like don't forget the abstract and like don't forget the energy and that it's me. But then also don't forget like the script is tight. So fucking give them that because they will respond to it. And I will say now that I'm like trying to do these bigger theaters in the best way I can, it has been a wild education of no matter what you want to fucking do, you wrote the script, so shoot the fucking script and go out there because it will pay off if you just do it, as opposed to, I don't think it's a bad habit, but I like to go on stage and fuck around a lot before I really get into it.
Oh yeah.
These theater shows, it's like, we are not sitting in the same type of room where that would make sense to us. Right. What makes sense to us is get to the first joke and start putting money in the bank. Like, all right, that first joke, you guys like, all right, I'm building, I'm depositing some likability into this bank of the show kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but do you guys have anything where you've had to do a coping mechanism for something in the process? Like I have to get an MRI this week, and, and they keep asking me if I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And I do suffer from some claustrophobia, but I know that I can disassociate while it's happening.
Yeah.
And for me, big shocker, everybody, I picture myself going down to the dock on the lake up in Wisconsin, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and
everyone's naked.
There's nobody on the water. There's they're behind me. But I'll do that when I go get this MRI. When the Sklar's and I don't know why.
Can I ask you, how long is the MRI? How long do you have to try to be in that zone? 45 minutes or something?
I don't even know. It's a few
Isn't
minutes.
It crazy? I think it's a long time.
It's like 15,
They usually
20
take
minutes.
several images and they do
Then
like
they keep asking me,
tiny
"Are you
little different
claustrophobic?"
things.
And I'm like, yes, I do. I'll have times even on a plane where for some reason it'll just hit me.
I know.
That I cannot get out of here, and we are 30,000
And you've flown a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to disassociate then. I have to distract myself in some way or put on a show and start watching something to like get that away.
Yeah.
But so she's disassociating with everything by going through these lyrics during the entire process of her wedding.
Yeah.
And now she says she does it a lot.
Yeah.
For me, it's the Sklar's. I don't know. This was years and years ago. We were in St. Louis. I think they were doing like an audio book, and they asked me to come with them for when they were in their hometown. So I came to St. Louis.
Moderator.
And and they were like, "Do you want to go up in the arch? We're going to go up in the arch for the thing we're doing." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." They're like, "It's an elevator. You ride the elevator." I don't have any problem with it. Elevators never get to me. In my mind, because of my claustrophobia, I do also always look up and go, "That's where I will, climb up onto the top and get out of this." Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we go in. Either one of you ridden the arch?
No.
Oh, in the arch? Yes.
Okay, it's an egg.
Yeah.
Yes, it is not a fucking elevator.
Yeah. It is your like this.
Oh, that's
and you're
just like
too
what,
far
4
away.
people
Yeah,
was
and
like
you're
max?
too far.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was too far away when he did that.
Yeah.
You are ass to fucking ankles. You are crammed into a little tube like fucking 2001
And are you going
Space
up like
Odyssey.
this?
Yeah, you're going up like this,
Yes.
And I wonder if the same thing happened to you, where at first you
I
think
bet not.
you're going to you're thinking, oh, okay, it'll be like an elevator, but there's a window so you can like see yourself getting like higher, and you're like, oh, this got bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that. You know why?
Why?
Because I sat down, looked around, and said, nope. And I got up, and the Sklar's are like, Daniel, come back. Daniel, come back. And I go, I know my limits. And I walked out, and they still say this line to me all the time.
Yeah.
But it was true. If life or death, or it was my audiobook, and I've got to get this fucking experience on tape, and that I understand would be the experience and have its own comedy to it, I could have done it. I would have disassociated the whole way.
Yeah.
And thought about being somewhere else, like at my cabin or the
Yeah.
lyrics from Juicy. But I was like, no. And so I went and watched a film from the 1960s on how the arch was made, and watched a kid get his arm stuck in a movie seat. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I was like, no. But if I had to do it, like this MRI, which I have to do, I just know in my mind I will just go to the lake, be sitting on the dock, and just stay in that place.
Yeah.
I have to do that.
I think it's good that you didn't do it, because you're in there for longer than you expect, and you're just going up. And also, just to fully paint the picture, if you haven't been to the arch, before you even get to the elevator, you have all this like, it's like a museum that talks about, when it was built. And for me, at least, when I was looking, I was like, oh, this thing's kind of old.
Yeah.
This system that they're showing me doesn't like.
It's not upgraded.
You're like, this is like, they have a hard time getting parts to fix some of this stuff. There was a TikTok recently where I guess at the top you can get out.
Yeah.
And so they get out, and a storm rolls through, and the whole thing is
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. So up there, it's a room, and it's a room that kind of is on this kind of arch because it is the
apex,
the
right?
apex of it. So you can like when you're looking out the window, you're essentially leaning against the arch to look out the window. And I remember being
that part I would do.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But I just saw people being like, this is
I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
Do you go back the way you came, or is it a full arch?
I think you
slide.
you come back
slide down
down.
the
Well, I
arch.
just wonder, was like, do they have the next egg ready
Yeah,
to go?
yeah.
The
Oh, yeah, I
underground,
bet
the
so.
eggs are coming.
I
It's
bet
like
so.
actually like a big Ferris wheel.
And I told the Scots, I go, I could do it, but the goal was to do something fun. I won't be having fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if your response is you have to, okay, just
Yeah,
understand I'm not gonna have fun.
Yeah.
So if life needed to, I would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I would just have to disassociate the whole time,
Yeah.
and I'll probably do it in the MRI thing if I start feeling like, closeted in.
Yeah, I think from this point on, instead of repeating "I know my limits" back to you always, I'm gonna always go "I know my lemons," and I'm gonna make it lemons. And I don't know what that means.
I mean,
But
I
you're
feel-
like, I'm not
I
here to
know
make
my
lemonade.
lemons.
I know my lemons.
I would think then that you would know when something is bad.
Hashtag I know my
Yeah,
lemons.
yeah.
Hashtag I know my lemons.
Yeah, if you have like shitty lemons,
Yes.
you're like, I know my lemons.
A bad car is
Yeah,
called
yeah.
a lemon.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you said I know my lemons,
I know-
I'd be like, he always can tell when something is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I
He
know my-
always knows.
He just knows.
Yeah.
Like, how'd that show go last night? You're like, I know my lemons.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, oh,
Honestly,
man, bad
he
show.
doesn't really know his lemons because he tried to make lemonade out of a car recently.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, he doesn't
Did not
know.
work.
It was very crunchy. Very crunchy.
This is great. I would say.
Public
song-
farts?
Public farts. I think you got to just own up to it.
Oh.
What
So
are you
you're
supposed to
saying
do?
You're
I
saying
don't know.
you're sitting in an airport, you accidentally rip and it was obvious you're the person who made
I'm
the noise.
sitting next to you, and it's like, sorry. Like, I mean, it's like,
Oh
what are you
no,
supposed to do?
I'm gaslight gatekeep girl boss. You know, it's like
What do
it's
you
like
do?
gaslight.
I
he
know,
was
but I'm
like-
saying, what would be your response?
I was like, damn, someone is stinking it up in here.
And everyone's like, we all heard you.
And if he's like, yeah, that was weird. It did sound like me, but
yeah,
it
yeah, that's
wasn't.
crazy.
That's the
Even
weirdest
I thought
part.
it was me.
Have you been to the museum and there's like that?
Let's go ride the arch.
Yeah, have you ever been in the arch? They're like, oh, wait, what? This guy's incredible.
Yeah.
Redirect.
All right, well,
Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
go get a $17 chicken Caesar wrap. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. And it won't. And it won't taste good. It won't even taste like $4. Honestly.
I think if it was obvious that I made the noise too, I'd be like, that was not planned, and I apologize. And then I'd probably go sit somewhere else. Unless on a plane, though,
Well, because I feel
on a
like
plane people don't hear anyway. You can
Yeah.
rip out.
yeah.
Yeah.
On a
Yeah.
plane, I'm just clapping ass, just nonstop, just letting loose.
Letting it out.
Especially one time I got mad. I forget why I was mad in this
Clapping
particular like plane situation. I think it was like one of those things where someone sat. I almost had a clear row and they sat there, and it wasn't like because they had to sit there. They were like, "Ooh, this spot's open." And you're like, "You robbed me."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Okay, well," or no, it was. I hate this thing, and I'm a big guy, so I don't do this. If I'm on a red eye and I'm big as hell, I'm alert. Also, I'm a pretty light sleeper. But when you're on a red eye and someone's big and then they just fall asleep, and you're like, if I have to use the restroom, I got to wake you up now.
Yeah.
And then he also was, he was so stoked to see the Super Mario movie. Like he sat down, plugged in. Like it was like, he planned this
He's
out.
been
He was like,
waiting.
yeah.
He's been
He was like,
waiting.
next time I'm on an airplane, I'm seeing Super Mario
I'm
movie.
gonna finally see it.
It was like this older dude, and he sits next to me. He's like, boop, 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 and he's on it. And I was like, you plug the headset, so now you're gonna have to move. And I was just farting.
That was your like, this is his penance.
Yeah.
Rip out.
He ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah.
He's gonna think it's Bowser.
That's so funny.
Jay, this is one of the most uniquely constructed letters we've ever gotten. Looks like a
black
newspaper article. Also nice and
lumberjack
thick. I
hat.
just
Yeah.
love it. The thick black ink on that P. Like it's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
it's nice. We I don't know. I think this is great. Always have a song in your head. A song is a great distraction for
Yeah.
dealing with anxiety or stress or whatever moment you're in. We wish you well. Sincerely, your pen pals, Rory Scovel.
Daniel Van Kirk and
Ify Nwadiwe.
And we're back.
you always finish strong.
coming at
Finish
the end.
real strong.
Because I like the part in the musical where like everyone's doing different parts. I always ask the name. I think it's around when it's like, and then she, and then she, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
joint.
yeah.
I'm like, damn, we going hard in Les Mis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we going hard.
The Miserables.
Yeah.
plugs and hugs. I am on a show that you can watch.
Yep.
Also, I have a tour that I'm on. We're going to be shooting a special. All of the information you need to know about my stand-up whereabouts, if you'd like to see a show, are at roryscovel.com.
And I am in a presentation that is feature, and you should figure that out. It was good, and I hope you like it.
You know,
then
by
also,
the time this is out, we probably are allowed to.
Yeah,
I feel like we're winding down.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe we'll do our own drops.
Yeah.
But I am on tour as well. So go to danielvankirk.com, and unless I've already got it fixed, if you know how to alter a website in WordPress.
We're just starting over.
Well, I want to be able to show all my dates at once.
Nope, I know.
Of course, you know better than anybody. You went through the same thing.
I can
They're all up
I
there.
can hook you up with the guy. You can go down
But
this road.
what if he's a person who writes your name first? Then he probably wouldn't. I need
He has to be.
people who
You
get
think
it right.
You think I would have already been working with him if he's not that person?
Okay. So I'm hoping that's all fixed. Anyway, I'm all over the Midwest and the South and the East Coast. Next year, I'll be doing Pacific Northwest and more stuff on the West Coast. Although I was just in Vegas for a week. Anyway, go to danielvankirk.com. Everything is leading up to 11/11/23, the sequel, right?
Yeah.
It's my special. So go to danielvankirk.com to get tickets. It's at the Lincoln Lodge. 2 shows, 11/11. I'd love if we sold it out. And if you come out to any of my shows, bring a postcard. Because if it's my show, I'm not on a festival or whatever, I can start it out by saying, did anybody bring a postcard? And then I'll talk to you guys. All right.
Ooh.
Wait, Ify.
Oh yeah, San Diego coming deep down, headlining. It's going to be December 7th. December 7th. I'll put it in your
Great.
calendars. Let's go.
You at American Comedy Company? Where are you at? doing that?
No, it's at the mic drop. Hold on,
Yeah.
I'll let
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah. See,
Shout out
that's-
Mic Drop.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I
Shout
think
out
you're
Michael
right.
Drop,
Okay.
Mr. Michael
Yeah,
Drop.
Yeah. Hold on.
Take your time.
Oh yeah.
Also-
This is a podcast. You can. Yeah.
No, we
Look,
don't. We leave it
go on-
all
Yeah,
in.
you're right. The Mic Drop Gold Room.
Yeah.
Yeah. You knew what's
Where
up.
are people following you on the socials?
Ify Nwadiwe. IFYNWADIWE.
I don't know why. When I brought you in, I threw it. I pronounced it.
Oh yeah, because there's an in there.
Why?
It's a Nigerian thing. We throw ins and then you don't use like Ego Wodim.
Yes.
Ify Nwadiwe, it's there.
I'll never
but
It's
actually
Igerian.
say it
It's
again.
actually Igerian.
Yeah.
You don't. There's no N for anything.
The thing is, though,
You can't tell all our secrets, Rory. Rory, cut it.
cut that out.
No.
Trim it.
Oh,
I
no.
never need to look to spell your name.
Yeah.
Because it's almost phonetic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because truly it's Nwadiwe.
Yeah.
So it's like you pronounce it's the N and W at the same time.
Yeah.
Nwadiwe.
Yeah.
Ego Nwadiwe.
Which is the dialect.
Yeah.
The
But
dialect notes it.
yeah. But
A standard American English dialect does not note it.
yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's
go to the second letter. You have one too.
Ooh.
I love that we're just constantly 2 pen pals who need help.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
I just had some of those pickled jalapenos. Dude,
I put it on everything.
everything.
Bramble,
Really?
isn't that it?
Yeah, Bramble. Dude, Bramble.
Bramble.
Is it,
Hey,
it's Alabama, right?
Bramble.
Where you have people in the South?
Bramble.
Oh yeah, Louisiana, Nolans.
It is Louisiana,
Okay.
Bramble.
but it's not New Orleans.
Okay.
You ever do Dragon's Den in New Orleans?
No.
Let me know if you want.
But
to.
yeah,
I'll-
I'm
I'll-
so down.
Vincent's a great dude.
We'll leave
Shout out
that in
Vincent.
too. That's a good.
Of course, this is friends being friends.
Just
Yeah.
friends.
We're just boys that need help.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, have you ever lied on a resume or during an interview?
Yes.
I am a little lame, so I have never falsified a resume, but I realized today I have lied in nearly every interview I've given. Or maybe it's not necessarily lying, but I definitely present traits I would like to possess rather than those I actually do. For example, I have said in every interview that I am very focused and detail-oriented. My current job requires going on safety walks on construction sites to ensure the site is up to OSHA standards. However, on the safety walk this week, I realized that instead of listening to the safety inspector, I spend the entire time watching 2 dragonflies chase each other and wondered if they were trying to fuck. This is not a standalone incident, and I wonder how long I can keep up the charade. Anyway, love the pod. Thank you for all that you do. Sweet days and dreams. Carly from Philly. Bing, bop, 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 bing.
Bibbidi boop bop beep. Every time I see 2, I think you can all rest assured that if you see 2 dragonflies, they are trying to fuck.
Yeah.
Well, one is.
The other one might just be trying to, fly. I was going to say, this just sounds like you have ADHD. And as someone who has it, that's me every time.
Yeah.
There's so many times someone's like running me through instructions, and I'm there, and then we pan out. It's
You
like,
cannot.
Yeah.
It's just not how
Yeah,
you.
And then we pan out. Gives a super wide shot.
Yeah.
But
super-
there are. It's so funny because I feel like we're knowing or learning this so much more now. Like, I'm 43 and I was diagnosed ADHD when I was like 15 or 16, and all I got was pills, and I never really looked into what that was. And it's only now, because we've talked about it on this podcast, in my early 40s, that I've actually started to even like wonder, like, oh, ADHD, I always just look at it as an identifier of that's what I am, but never what is that. And so now I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people like that who you can, like, if you try to teach me a new board game, it is not happening.
What is the best way you learn a new board game?
We have to just play the game, and as it's happening, you have to show me what everything is, and we just have to play a game that doesn't count. But if you sit here and read me the rules, and I go through this all the time, my daughter is constantly, like, we're constantly getting new board games.
I'm blown away by people who go, just tell me how we do it.
I know.
And then they tell them, and then they do it, and I'm like, you're wild.
Yeah,
Jordan can like read directions and kind of be like, okay, so I think what they're saying, and I'm like, the moment you said, when you take the blue card over to the red card, I immediately started thinking of Pepsi, and I was gone.
Yeah.
That was great. You should remember that.
Yeah. No, you're so right, because I'm the same way, and I didn't realize I would be going to game nights, and you would sit there, and every game night is like everyone gets together, and for 15, 20 minutes.
All right, guys, let us tell you how this is played. And you're sitting there, can we just play?
Yeah,
it?
just
Especially with
vibrating.
comics, like, can we all just do bits and never learn?
Yeah.
Like, oh, God.
That's another thing too. If you have a room of comics and you're like, guys, I want to tell you how it's played. That's ADHD or no to HD. You trying to talk for 5 minutes is going to be bit, tag, bit, tag, bit, tag on first bit.
Yeah.
Like,
back to first.
right.
Bit,
You need to shut up and just start playing.
Yeah.
So what you were saying?
Yeah. No, I was saying, same thing. I would just sit there vibrating, and I would just be like, speaking of dissociate, I'd be like, boom, we're out of here. And then I'd come back when the game starts. I was like, okay, so what are we doing?
And they're like, what do you mean? We just
told you.
It was like, I was not paying attention.
And you're like, I literally just time traveled here. From the moment you said, here's how you play the game, 20 minutes later, you are suddenly like, all right, I've skipped that, and now here I am. Right. What did we say?
I'm also like, it's your fault. That curtain isn't the same as that curtain.
I know.
That's where I've been for the last 10 minutes.
Did you know that frame is just off skew? Have you ever tried to just
and then you picture yourself walking over there and straightening it.
But then they use the weird, like the Velcro system, and you're like, fuck.
We're literally doing that in this conversation.
But I mean, it truly, even in like a situation where we're at a game night and Daniel's giving instructions on it, I'm like looking around, I'm like, that guy's not really listening. He's acting like that. And then I'm starting to go, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, he does this, and that makes it look like he's listening. Maybe I'll start doing that. And I'm like, but then you start playing the game, I'm like, he was listening. Oh my God, he knows exactly, he literally knows everything Daniel just said to do.
I bet you guys, if you're like me, and I feel like you would be, that once you start doing it, you put things together. You're like, so if this is, then this probably has to go. Because if you do, so you start filling it in, but it's by the process of doing it as well.
Games that I, and this is kind of somewhat good full circle, like video games that I like. Most games I don't have an attraction to it. I don't like the amount of work it's going to require, despite the fact that has now become like so many video games where it's like, when we were in the 80s, it was like, here's the game with 10 levels. You got to beat the 10 levels. Kung Fu. It's like, all right, you're going to do it.
Right.
And that registers better for me than here's Grand Theft Auto. And it's sort of kind of cannot, you don't really ever beat it. And it's unending and eternal. And I'm like, I don't like that because I can't see it. Games I like, current obsession, Overcooked.
Well, hey, that's what I say. I played it at the show we did together. I played Overcooked.
The ADHD
you
of it.
seem so frustrated because you knew how to play.
The ADHD of it.
Yes.
It works so wonderfully for me. And when, like, if my daughter and my wife, if it's the three of us playing it, we'll play a level. we get frustrated. We've gotten better. I gotta say, while you do argue intensely during the game, it does teach you how to stop doing that and like actually go, that's not getting us anywhere, so obviously let's don't do it. And like we were literally like, we'll play the level and then we'll go, what was that? And then Jordan will be like, she'll be like, okay, what do we do? And Elliot will be like, I'm going to wash the dishes and plate and serve. And I'll be like, great. I'm chopping the meat. I'm getting it in the skillet. Jordan, you're going the pasta. You're getting the meat. Then Elliot, you're getting all those and you're serving it. And then the next level, we try it again and we absolutely fucking destroy it.
Yeah.
And I am like so satiated. I'm like, this is great.
Do you yell hands and everybody stops?
But there's certain games, there are certain games that have come across my periphery or whatever, and like, and they're so clearly, if you looked at the list of all of them that I became obsessed with and played obsessively until I beat it, they would all fit, I'm sure, into a specific diagnosis of ADHD.
Oh yeah.
And slash this like tinge of OCD that just like satisfies me. Whereas Grand Theft Auto, if you're like, I'm not going to play the levels, I'm just going around the city. I do love that, but because that is so abstract with no boundaries or walls or direction
and constant,
it's almost like, oh, this is a fun virtual freedom. I get to live in a fake world.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, I'm no longer attracted to it because I'm like, I don't necessarily love what the levels are asking me to do.
Yeah.
And the walls are too wide.
Well, see, that's why as an ADHD gamer, I was like, I know the games that are definitely going to be your flavor because I'm real into Monster Hunter. And the reason I like Monster Hunter is like, if you look at it, it seems like this big, crazy
Shadow Colossus too.
Yeah, like it seems like a big, crazy world, but it's very simple.
Okay.
The game is you hunt monsters, you carve their skins, you make new weapons, you hunt stronger monsters.
And they
so you
get
can,
big, dude.
yeah, and you can just put it down and come back, and you'll always know what you're doing.
Okay, yeah.
So and it's kind of like, you know, it's timing based and everything, and so like you're like, okay, I want to make this armor, so I'll fight this monster 3 times, and it's kind of like the Overcooked thing where you're like, I'm getting better because I'm learning its patterns, so that's satisfying, and then I make this cool outfit, and then I can hunt something better, and then if it gets too hard, I can just put it down. Like I was playing nonstop, and then I put it down, walked away, and if I go back today and play it, it'll be like, oh yeah, I know nothing.
There's a comfort to it. Yeah.
Whereas Grand Theft Auto and I think story games that are that big, you come back and you're like, wait, what was I doing?
Yeah.
And what I gotta do?
And what was my objective?
How
do I duck?
Yeah. How do I? Yeah.
How do I do? But it's also interesting too about games because that is the formula for what you were talking about with board games. You just start playing a game.
Yeah.
You don't. Nobody says, okay, now before you start playing Dr. Mario, here's what you need to understand. You literally just start playing the game.
Yes.
And you go into it and you figure it out as it goes.
The games that I'm attracted to don't require a function, like the full function of the whole controller, because it's also very overwhelming for me. The last time I was really obsessed with games was the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye, because it was just very simple.
Yeah.
Overcooked is also a similar handheld situation where it's very simple.
Chop, pick up.
But when people are like, hey, there's 2 toggles, this one is like looks up. If it requires that, Call of Duty, for instance, I'm like, I think I really would love this game if maybe it was VR and I held something and I literally actually But this, my brain cannot understand the 2 worlds of looking like I could get it, but what it would require is
that's your
2 weeks of just straight doing it, and I just because this is so frustrating to start, the addiction never kicks in.
Yeah,
well,
I never get obsessed.
I couldn't do it. That's why I couldn't play Fortnite. There's 2 games.
Yes.
There's 2 games within Fortnite: shooting, and architecture. And I was never going to take the time to figure out how to build
of those.
Yeah.
The shooting, I would just try. I had fun doing that, but I was like, I'll never get good at this game because I'm never going to learn the entire other aspect of this game, which is a game about building things.
Yeah.
But there's people who once they perfect both, they're fighting. Their building is their fighting, and like
that's when I checked out, is when you would just shoot at someone and you would just see this hotel being built and you're like, well, okay.
Right. I can't.
And then you watch two people playing and they're building and building into each other's stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is for the Z.
They're in.
Gen Z. They're
in.
They got the Twitch.
They're in.
Building.
So wait, have either one of you...
it's good. They're going to need that because they're going to have to rebuild everything.
Have either one of
It's
you
going to have to go great.
had a job that you lied about or just had no business having?
I was going to say, I imagine all of us have not been in the world of a resume that even fucking matters.
I mean, I was
a while.
I was a federal agent.
Yeah.
Like that isn't.
Yeah.
No business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is, off of that was the last like job was federal agent.
No.
Or actually, just the fact that that's on your resume
Yeah.
means that this massive self-employed gap.
Yeah.
They just assume you've been on a mission.
It's like, don't worry, I know you couldn't tell us about
What's
what
this
happened.
gap?
Yeah,
And then they look and they go, officer,
yeah.
good to have you on board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I respect you.
I think my lies in interviews, if I said detail oriented, that's a lie.
Well, there's
But I am
always like
detail oriented about this stuff
Yeah.
that we do.
Yeah.
We get
When you
very,
care.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like, we're very detail oriented about what, I mean, the Todd Glass world of how a club could be fixed,
Yeah.
which we all have on some level.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So, but I'm, oh man.
Well,
I think if I told him I'm gonna really care, and I know
Yeah.
that sounds like a joke, but I just.
Well,
This
no,
is
you're
the only job I've really cared about. Like,
Yeah.
really, I'm envious of people who are there like, hey, you do this homework, and they would do it. They didn't even ask if they cared or if the teacher cared, or somebody would go, I'm supposed to be here every morning at 8 a.m., so I'm here at 8 a.m., and I work till 5, and this is the job. The guy who had we won't go there, but we had a guy call me a clown on a job. Stop. On a job, Rory has a whole thing about this guy calling me a clown. I told him before. The guy called me a clown, and he wasn't wrong. I tried to not. I tried to not do the work all the time.
Yeah.
I'm reliving it.
Rory has this dream in his head that someday that I see that guy again, and I am a clown. And like for whatever reason,
The guy obviously doesn't recognize him because also he's in makeup.
Yeah.
and then I go, "Hey Don, guess who did pretty well?" And then he's like, "Who are you?" And then I'm like, "You called me a clown."
No, it's you. I
don't
don't go,
even-
who's the fucking clown now? And
Right.
he look, and then you cut to Daniel to reveal he is a clown. The guy's like, you? I guess you're a clown. And Daniel's like, got a cigarette. It's at the grocery store.
Oh.
But even in that job, like I tried to do as little as possible. I think if any job I got where I needed to act like I would care about this would be a lie.
Yeah.
Well, it's very funny because I definitely relate to that because my like the full job I had before I like truly started pursuing all this.
What were you doing?
I was working for the LA County Register Recorder.
Oh,
I too
you
was a
told me
government
this.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe you told me this on hindsight. back in
Yeah,
the day.
and I would finish up all my work as quick as possible just so I can walk around and fuck around and talk and do bits with people, and they would get so mad, and I'd be like, "But I finished all my work," and I was like, "Yeah," it was like, "So what am I supposed to do? Get more work?" And I was like, "But then I'd be doing more work than everyone," and they were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh," that's when I was like, "No."
Well, that's when you got to be like, yeah, then so pay up and I'll do more work.
And they're like, "No, this is how it works." And then you find out that's why everything in the government is slow.
because you need it to take the whole day.
Yeah, because there's no incentive in reward for being faster than that. And so that's when I was like, "Oh, this isn't for me." And I remember when I started doing like improv and comedy in LA, and I was like leaving, I just couldn't care, and that's when everything shifted. And I was technically lying because I would go into these jobs and be like, "Yeah, I need this part-time job," but I always considered every part-time job secondary to my career.
Of
like
course,
I was like, this isn't the real thing.
Yeah.
But I would go into the interview and be like, "I'm gonna be the best damn barista."
But also, that's how you have to see your career.
Yeah.
Do you have to have that much like kind of confidence behind yourself to be like, yeah, no, this is like, I need some money.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not. There's no passion.
But
in
I
this.
learned I had to lie about it because it was a. Do you remember? So you remember the arc light and the 24-hour fitness? So you remember that smoothie place next to it? It was like that.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I tried
and
to
they
get
sold candles too.
Yes,
Such a
yes.
weird, it was like a housewares.
They were
Oh
made
my
out of
God.
smoothies.
Yeah,
Do you remember this place?
No.
It was
Didn't
like
they have the
yeah,
weird, the
it
most
was
But as the
smoothies.
candles burned the
Oh, no,
smoothie, it was
they
a
had the most
mess.
expensive
like
candles.
random shit too, like a Tiger Bank, like
Yes.
it was like housewares and smoothies, but it was right next to
It was
24-hour fitness, so I
Yes.
would go there every time. And then they were hiring, and I was like, oh, I need a part-time job. And then I went in the interview, and I was like, yeah, he's like, so what do you do? Why? I was like, well, I'm an actor, comedian. He's like, I'm not gonna hire you. And I was like, well, because you hire actors, and every time they have a big audition that they got to come off with, and of course it's the biggest audition in the world, and then you're unreliable. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do that. Like I did. I was like, yeah. I was like,
But also,
did you
good luck
think
to you not finding an actor who's either come to the movies and
Well,
saw your sign,
that's-
or is at the gym and saw your sign.
But also, it's like, because we're supposed to lie. We're supposed to
Yeah,
be
you're
like,
right.
I want to be a smoothie guy my whole life.
Right,
Until I did find, shout out to Press Juicery. They that was the first place I worked where it was like, oh yeah, you can swap shifts.
Dude,
on
And
the
they also
move.
get it.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got the job at the library bar downtown, my first bar job here in LA, and they were like, so one of the owners was like, so you want to like act and do comedy and stuff? And I go, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. So like, that's your thing. That's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you guys, they get?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to lie.
Yeah, because-
also I liked bartending so much. That is a job I still can't say I cared about.
Yeah.
But because it was something I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, come on, you're a bartender. It's like, hey, my stage is behind this
Yeah.
railing,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna talk to you guys all
I
night.
got lucky in DC, my boss Greg Shapiro, because I was also working for like the DoD Veterans Affairs, like shit, like for the government.
Yeah.
And
Look at us
I
government
know,
workers.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Wow.
Listen, anything? No.
Yeah, if you're listening to this at work, this is your sign. Sign up for a UCB class.
Work for
Sneak
the
out
government.
I thought
Wednesdays,
you were gonna
30
say, if
minutes
you're
early.
listening to this work, take your time on that email.
Yeah.
Don't get up.
Do that
There's
too.
no
but-
bonuses.
Yeah,
Don't
there's-
be the first person to get
Yeah,
the cake
it's
in the
not
break room.
worth
Take
it.
your
But
time.
definitely leave 30 minutes early to go to your improv. Have your buddy cover for you if they're looking for you. And next thing you know, you'll be doing a podcast with two comedian greats, and you'll have great thighs.
You do have great thighs. I saw you pushing up hundreds.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But I got
Okay,
lucky with
so
that
yes,
boss.
yeah.
That boss was like very clearly like I had to answer phones, I had to like take notes, I had to make sure the conference room was clean, like all stuff that's like very simple to do.
Yeah.
That just required the effort. It didn't, and like the smarts to keep up with it. Like
Yeah.
nothing difficult.
Yeah.
And he was always just like, he's like, I get it. You're like trying to do shows. You're trying, like, I would go off, be like, hey, I got booked on a thing, so I gotta actually not be here Friday because there's a show. And I gotta drive to Richmond or blah blah. And he would be like, I get it. I'll make sure it doesn't count against like your time off, because he knew I wasn't like going on vacation or anything.
Yeah.
But he was like a chill boss who like kind of got. He's like, I don't have to worry about this guy coming and being like, I'm ready for a raise or promote. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
want anything.
Yeah.
I was very
Yeah.
happy with what I was making. I didn't want to even do the amount of work I was already doing.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like, it was truly great. I would say, like, in terms of like going into these interviews and like lie. I mean, resume. The reason maybe not to lie is because that's stuff they researched, because they go, well, I'm
Or
going to
they
call
could.
the place.
They could.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in the interview, in the like sort of weirdly nebulous kind of version of, well, what are your strengths? I mean, there are things like we could all lie in those things, but the real thing, if you were going to be honest, just be like, I'm a good speaker. Like now, you'd be like, I'm a good speaker. I'm
good with
actually good
people.
with people. I can
Yeah.
read people. I
Yeah.
can read the room. Like, so also if you have like an employee or if a customer or whatever the situation may be, like, and they're like a little bit frazzled or difficult, like I'm actually pretty good at reading that. And I also don't try to push back on that. I'm not like confrontational in those places. Like, I think there's things that we all would say now, but the catch-22 of it is that we're older, which is
Yeah.
why we know that about ourselves
Yeah.
now. Like, I know that if you give me, and this is why I like these video games, but if you go, like when I was a temp, it was pure bliss, because they would be like, all we need you to do for the next 2 days is sit at this computer and delete each of these accounts that are no longer with this
And we just
company.
need somebody to do
and
that.
I would go, oh my God, great.
Rory, you
Like,
stole
I
it.
loved
You
it, and
stole
it's
from
truly
me.
brainless. It's
Yeah.
truly
But
brainless.
you stole it from me, Rory. I was gonna say to anybody listening to this, it's like, I just don't like working, and I know I want to do something else or whatever. Sign up with a temp agency.
Yeah.
Because I did temp before I moved here in 2011.
Yeah.
And it ended up giving me one of the best jobs I ever did when I worked on for the company that does the website for Pizza Hut. Right?
Yeah.
Shout out Eric Santiago. But every place that before that last one that lasted like 4 months, they knew coming in, they didn't bring you on for the long term.
Yeah.
They're not hiring you for the long term.
Yeah.
So
Right,
you
right.
literally are just sort of like the friend you make on vacation. And they're like, hey, thanks for coming in. This is just kind of the stuff we need to. So what's your deal? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm really into comedy, or I'm an artist, or whatever. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. So yeah, just get all this stuff filed,
Yeah.
and then if there's anything else, we'll let you know. Like, it's a great way for them to know that you are not marrying this job.
I literally had a job where they were like, we just need you to organize the supply closet. And I was like, the moment they opened the door and they showed it to me, and it was like the size of this room. And they were like, I mean, it was mayhem. They were like, we just need this organized. And I was like, yeah, all right, great. Like, I was like, I'm going to put the folders here. I'm going to color coordinate.
Yeah.
I was like, everything.
hyper-focus.
I need this like supply. I'm going to go, everything over there is red.
Yeah. But the other thing too is being a temp for us and like our mindsets and stuff is you get to show up with like, hey, I'm there by definition, I'm not working here forever.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of you're above whatever their stuff is in the
Yeah.
office of like, hey, I'm just here to do this thing.
Yeah.
I don't have to
They're trying to
feel
give
the
you gossip.
Yeah.
You're like,
right.
"Ah,
I don't
I'm
have
not
to
a
feel
part
the
of that."
shadow
You
of
know,
like,
it's
do I
so-
always want to do this? Because I am not always going to do this.
Going against a little bit of what you said, this how like not smart, but also like obsessive I would be about these things. There was one temp job where I had to go in, I think it was a dentist's office or something, and they were like, so we've just kept all these files. We've not kept track. We need all of them. And I mean like giant thing, hundreds of files. They go, we need them all alphabetized. And I mean, I alphabetized the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the day.
That's gratifying.
And she goes, so tomorrow, what do you think? Like, she goes, I don't know when you need to be back, and it would obviously be less work. And I go, I'm done with it. And she was like, oh, it's supposed to be like a 2-day job. And I go, I know, I didn't really take lunch, and I got it. And I like, I'm pretty sure it's all absolutely correct. I go, but you might get to the Z's and like one thing's out of order. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, all right, well, I'll talk to the temp. Like, she was almost like, why would you do this?
Yeah. Why?
And I was just like, it's like the video games.
yeah,
I'm like,
I
once I
have
got
to.
going, I
Task. I had a
want it to
task.
be done. I need to finish it.
Yes.
Yeah. This is great.
I agree.
Letter.
Oh yeah.
I agree. Did I read it?
Yep.
I get so lost in our combos. Okay. Hey, if you love all this stuff and you're new, I love that people are jumping on. We got a page where we follow up letters like this. People send us letters and tell us how OSHA got them fired and their new job, how they're going to lie on their resume. You can do that. It's over at patreon.com/penpals. Yes? Mm-hmm. Great. And then feel free to email us, thepenpalspod@gmail.com, or mail us or hand us a show on when we're on the road.
Letter on the show.
Care of the Pen Pals Podcast, 5419 Hollywood Boulevard, Suite C, number 121, Los Angeles, California.
90027.
Love it. All right. Until then, Carly, thanks for sending this in. Keep up. I was going to say good work, but I'll just say the work.
Keep up
Yeah.
the
Keep
work.
Keep
up the work.
Keep up the work. We wish you all, sincerely, your pen pals, Daniel Van Scovel.
Rory Van Kirk.
Ify Nwadiwe.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta piss real bad.
Great episode.
Dude, thanks for not lying.
I want you guys to know when I have to do it.
I'd be worried sometimes. I worry about him. Rory hasn't pissed in a minute.